Welcome to the first episode of the new podcast. I have lovingly named it Voice Notes to Nobody because these are never meant to be sent to anybody. But the point of this podcast is to allow myself a space to talk about things that sit in my mind. And usually these things are just topics that I would like to explore and let go. So today we're going to talk about the void and what the void is. And what the void is that feeling you get after being very productive or a lot of things happening, good things happening, and then you have that lull in between moments. And it happens when you have success or I feel like when you're tired. For me, it happens when I have had something really emotionally intense. So my birthday just passed and there was a huge build up to my birthday and I felt sick, right? I did not have time to deal with it. And then I didn't have time to process it. And then when I'm finally free during the weekends, and now we're at a place where emotionally I'm coming down from that high. And I think when I'm in the lull, I am usually very bored, uninspired, and I would feel that something is wrong with me. But now, when I'm older at 32, I realized that this could just be a note. This could just be a reminder to reset and readjust because not every feeling has intense meaning behind it and not every feeling means something bigger. So for this one specifically, I've been feeling the void for the past 2 days. And it's the weekend, I've been feeling the void for the entire 2 days. But it's only because for the whole week I was sick and I didn't have time to rest. And now finally when I am sort of okay enough to be okay and to reset, I feel like, oh, I'm bored. All the things that I wanted to do, I don't feel like doing it now. I only wanted to do it because I couldn't do it earlier. So this is just something that acts as a reminder for me. Hold on, let me readjust the lighting. So this is just a reminder for me that I have to readjust when I have time, and this is not a time where I will sit and let myself be depressed and basically sink into my mattress. Even though I did nothing this weekend, I laid in bed, watched videos, and did nothing productive. But I think at this point, maybe that was what I needed, the rest. And maybe that is what my soul needed. So it's okay. It's okay that I'm feeling unproductive and I'm feeling like I don't want to do anything and my life is boring and I might want to die. But that might not be the actual feeling behind it. I think it's been a while since I have rested, and it's been a while since I have no plans for the weekends. So that means no plans to go out, no plans to meet anybody, no plans to even like go exercise. Like I really needed that rest. And I got the rest and I don't know what to do with it because usually I don't get the rest. So today, we're just gonna be reflecting a little bit on what it means because I was feeling really uninspired. And for my TikTok account, I initially was gonna make videos, right? But again, the heat, the mood, my period happening all in the same week, told myself that I should just take it easy. I shouldn't force myself to do anything that I don't want to, and I shouldn't feel the need to go online because there's an obligation to be online. I should just take that time to back off into a corner and to allow myself that space to think about my own life, to think about what's my next step. Because right now, and in my work, I am experiencing a lot of change. I'm experiencing a handful of readjustments that need to be happening in my life. And I don't know if I like that, honestly. I don't know if this kind of change is what I like and what I am looking for, but it is happening. It's not something that I can control, and it's good that it is happening. So I feel like 2025 has been a year of constant readjustment, because I had a show with a friend on TikTok live, and we just ended it because she was overwhelmed with her life, I am overwhelmed with mine, and we just simply needed that break. But also, I think emotionally, it's weekly of giving myself to people and giving myself to this friend, and I haven't had that time yet to give myself to myself. So maybe this podcast is a way that I can process my own thought and give myself back to myself, because I used to have blogs. I used to keep blogs that allowed me to express my thoughts, but because of how addicted or like attached to social media and technology, that I do not do that anymore, and I should. But again, I think with the routine I've drawn myself, I need a little bit of readjustment. I need to introduce some new form of way where I could process my own feelings, and this could be this process. Of course, people want to hear about what I say on certain things, but at the same time, I feel like in the future I might appreciate all these videos the same way my friends will appreciate my voice notes. So in a sense, do all these voice notes mean anybody to anybody? Not really. But to myself, it is how I process, and I talk a lot faster than I type. So this is a way for me to get everything out and process it while like not needing to type it out, because simply typing is not good enough. Sometimes you need to hear it out. You need to read certain things out to yourself to realize some things that you've always known, right? The most honest truth is always in front of you. It's always that one thing that's in plain sight that you ignore. So for me, I've been feeling the void. Like I said, right? The void has not been very kind to me. It's been trying to engulf me for a few weeks, I think. But every time I feel this void, what I do is that I go on TikTok live and try to occupy myself and make myself feel like I'm doing something productive. I'm doing something that could generate income, right? Because TikTok lives do give me a little bit of income. It's like $2-3, but it's like better than nothing, right, to myself. But I've never valued the rest since I could go on TikTok live. And I think this has been something that I've been needing to adjust within myself, because I've been asking certain things like, am I tying myself to social media? Is my worth tied to social media? Because I have not been feeling a great amount of worth when it comes to my job itself. And I think it's because it takes time and I'm impatient, right? TikTok is fast, but it doesn't last. You need to be consistent to do TikTok. And I think it has been wearing me out a little bit, if I'm not gonna lie. Work requires me to put in effort, right? But I think because I'm demanded in different directions, it's making me tired. And in response to that, I freeze up. So when I freeze up, it is not a great place to be in, because I get overwhelmed. I just stand there. I just feel like nobody look for me. I'm gonna block everybody on this earth. No one can look for me. No one would demand stuff from me, and I will not be needed. But that's just not how it works. It's not the most productive thing for myself. So I'm gonna allow myself some ways that I can have a routine that will actually help me, because I'm just in a place where a lot of change is happening in my personal life and in just in my personal life in general. Because at work, like I said, change is happening. I'm now switching over to the other company where I'll be based, and I have to do a lot of things full force. That means during my days, I won't be able to come on live and really take a break, right? Really be in another space aside from work. I think that's normal to be expected to do that at work, but I think TikTok has been such an escape that now going back to the real life does not seem like a place I want to be in, because it does not feel safe and I don't feel like I'm in control of it. And in response, again, all these are responses to all the feelings I did not process. So in response to not wanting to feel out of control and everything, when I could, I would completely throw myself into the TikTok world and into my Discord and social media and all this, and just let myself drown in it, because in TikTok world, I control everything. I control where I'm gonna post, I control what I'm gonna talk about, I control how long and what to delete in certain things. So in real life, I'm not able to do that. That is something that has been a little bit hard, because it requires talking to people and it requires waiting for stuff. It's just a lot of work, and it's not that I don't want to put in the work, it's because I'm pulled in different directions. It's very hard to get one thing done because you're needed in other spaces, so everything is half-assed, that I don't feel like I'm giving my best. And maybe TikTok is the only place where I feel like I could give my best. So I've been, for the last few weeks, I've been going on live. I've been emotional about things. I've been honest about my feelings. And I don't know if it's in a good way or a bad way, but so far, it's not saying that I'm entertaining people, but people appreciate that I'm honest. They appreciate where I am and how I express my emotions, right? But for me, like I said, the void is about being in between moments of lull. Lull is just where, you know, a conversation happens and you're like, ha ha ha. So I'm now in that zone of moments of life where nothing is consistent enough to have a routine, nothing is stable enough for me to have a routine, to have anything established. I'm still in the middle of figuring it out. So that is where we are at, and I don't like it. Honestly, I do not like that lull in this live moment thing, because it's instability. But I think in this life, there will be a lot of moments of lull. So I need to train myself, like right now, like what I'm doing. I am making something of myself in this lull of the moment, right? But at the same time, I said I'm feeling uninspired. I'm feeling, you know, uninspired. So I'm creating. I'm talking about my feelings. I'm creating what I've always wanted to do. A podcast is one of them. It might not be the greatest thing in the world, but of course, I hope that being able to talk about things will make people feel like they also can feel like this. You don't have to be productive every single moment of your life. When you rest, sometimes rest feels boring, and sometimes rest really does feel like a waste of time. But you're not supposed to be on edge every single day. You're not supposed to feel like you have the next thing to do and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. You need to be able to rest and to be bored. It's the ultimate rest, because your brain is unstimulated, right? And your body is not doing anything. You're not expecting anything. You just exist. And I'm telling myself today, after 2 days of just existing, that existing is just resting. And sometimes I don't need to be looking at the phone when I'm resting. That's not really rest. I need to just be in my fields, thinking about certain things, and just be in the quiet. And the quiet will be boring, because we're not supposed to be on edge for days and days and days. That's not the way to be. So I've decided that Sundays are gonna be my rest days. I've decided on certain days, right, on certain moments of a day, I need to allow myself to rest without my devices. Even this is with a device, right? But at the same time, I'm not using it. I'm just merely recording the processing of thoughts. So I hope the podcast allows people to feel things without needing to make everything a teaching moment. I hope we can talk about things just for the sake of having a space to talk about it. Not everything deserves a drawer and with a labeled compartment in your life. Some feelings just need to be able to have that space to pass and go. Sometimes that space can just be a corridor to the next room. It doesn't need its own room, its own corner, its own like compartment in your life. So I feel like I said, in this lull of a moment in life, this is where I rest before I go on to the next room. And I'm allowing myself that space. And I think I've said it so many times, I'm allowing myself this space because I think deep down I do not believe I deserve this kind of space. I do not believe that I need rest, because there's so much more that I can do with this time. But I guess a lot of people do think like that when they are not financially stable, when certain aspects of their life is really like high speed, like, highway, but we still need rest so that we can go further, so that we can go longer. So to allow this space for anybody, to allow yourself to have this space, you need to settle down. You need your whole body to not be on edge. You need to just, and sometimes it takes boredom to go. And I think I haven't been bored in a long time. I don't dislike it. I don't dislike feeling like I could do anything else in the world and I don't know what to do. But also, the void is not just about being bored. The void also has the element of dread, where sometimes it is depression, sometimes it's sometimes it is a little bit of depression, sometimes it's a lack of meaning. But again, I am still trying to figure out if the lack of meaning comes from the fact that we don't take rest as a meaningful action, or it's just really we've been so busy that we forget what living is. So I'm gonna try to take this 2 months to figure it out, to think about certain things. And I wanna allow myself a space to talk about these emotions. And I realized going through my blog today with Discord people that I actually do enjoy having my thoughts recorded, having my emotions recorded, because my blog started when I was 16. And it had all the really important moments of my life. I have diaries and diaries and diaries. My diary started at 10. And I still have some of them. I have the diary entry of when my youngest brother was born. I have diary entries of my grandparents passing away. I have just a lot of feelings written down. And while, yes, a 15-year-old confession of certain things, not even love, it's just about, oh, I don't want to do this today, I feel like this today, all this admission of feelings. It is quite cringy, but at the same time, it feels absolutely liberating to know that even at that young age, I still feel this much and I still don't know a lot of things. But then at 32 now, looking back at the things that I was wondering about, it's comforting to know that I have figured all of it out. And all my diary entries and all of the things that I have felt, every single blog post, every single written diary entry, every single typed out diary entry, all of this has just been evidence, like a show of evidence of all the things I've gone through and gone past. Because there were moments in my life where I thought that, oh, this is it, this is gonna take me out. It did not. It is great that it did not, because I have concrete evidence of it working out and of things basically just passing, and I never had to experience it again. I am genuinely a believer of, if you don't learn the lesson now, you're gonna have to keep learning that lesson again and again until you get it. Wait, let me rephrase it before I pause so much. A lesson will continue happening until you've learned the full lesson. So if you don't learn how to let go this time round, you're gonna have to keep learning about it every single time something happens, and you're gonna struggle, and it's gonna be something that is a canon event. That means every single person that had to ever let go of things, they will have to go through it at least a few times before they fully understand why people have to let go. Because for me, I've always liked the quote of everything I've ever had to let go of had claw marks on it. But of course now, I pride myself as someone that does not do that anymore. I feel like I let go of certain things, a lot of things, really well. I still hold on to being petty, okay? That's a different feeling. But I let go because I don't let it bother me as much anymore. I think, like for example, with friendships that have not worked out, I will let it go, as in I won't fight for that anymore, right? I just let it be. But it doesn't mean that they're not important to me. It is a very different thing to think about. So I am grateful for all of the times where I've written down every bad emotion I've ever felt, because it is so easy to remember what it feels like to be happy, right? But it's so hard to remember what it feels like when you've been dumped for that first time ever, and then you're just crying your heart out, like with your hand to your chest, gripping onto your heart, hoping that it will not fall out of your chest. So these feelings are all recorded for me. How many times did I miss this person? It's all recorded because I wrote it down. Day 175 of missing this person. Today I thought about it. And then that was the first time, the first heartbreak, right? And I had evidence of how it affects me. And then the next time it happens, it's not so long anymore. And the third time it happens, I didn't even write about it because I was so heartbroken, right? But then I've seen how I tried to let go and the lessons I've learned along that. And it is, again, so comforting to know that I am not the same person that I was at 21 or 24 or 25 or 28. It is so comforting to know that I have changed. And I think when you're so busy in life and you just keep go, you're not going to be able to sit down to really think about, I'm pretty great. I've been through this a lot, and it's been a pretty great time of my life. It's been quite a life. And if today, like right now, right, compare me 20 minutes ago when I'm talking about this and now, I feel in a much better mood because of how bored, in a sense, I am today. I'm able to really think back on all the things I've written, or at least certain things I've written about. And I really thank myself on recording all these things. And I think in my diary sometimes I go back to old entries and I would write out comments to my previous self. You've gone through this. I think I leave notes to my previous self as a reminder that I have done this, and it's okay now, because I think when my first heartbreak happened, I wrote, I will never get over you. I will love you forever. And then I think it was last year or the year before I went back to it, I said, you did get over them. You're happier now. You're happy. And then I think it's so sweet. I think it's really sweet to comfort yourself in that sense, because only you truly understand what you needed back then. And it's only you that could really give validation to that feeling back then. And I'm just really thankful that my past self was brave enough to feel the emotions, to write it all out. If it wasn't because of how brave I was back then, I don't even think it was brave when I was writing it. I was in a desperate place trying to get understanding from different aspects of my life and different people. But I think ultimately, I was never scared to express my feelings. I was never scared to tell people, hey, this is exactly how I feel. This is how terrible I feel. And now, I still don't know why it's called brave. I don't know why people call me brave for sharing all these feelings. Like today, we're talking about the void, the lull in life moments. And it is where sadness tend to happen. It is where you're bored, uninspired, and you feel like if you die, no one would care, right? But if we picked ourselves up, and we try to make something of this moment, and we try to really sit and reset and think back on, when I was younger, I used to do this. I wonder what happened. And just allow yourself to just have a creative writing moment in your head. And now, doesn't that just make the entire lull, make the void mean a lot more sense? Make a lot more sense and mean a lot more compared, Because if I didn't have the lull, then I didn't have the void the last 2 days, I wouldn't have that space to sit and be human for a little bit. Because on the other days, I was the daughter, I was the business owner, I was also the worker, I was also the boss that to make decisions, I'm also the person that drives around, I'm the person in charge of so many things. I did not have that space to just be Tryphena. I did not have that space to be Tryphena, the 15-year-old girl that wanted to write, but yet felt like nothing in the world meant anything. I didn't have that drive to be that girl at 25 that wished for love and wished for understanding. I didn't have that space to be that 28-year-old hopeful business owner that just wanted to make it in life, just wanted some success in whatever that means. And I didn't have that space to be that 32-year-old that hoped one day she could be in an entertainment industry, or at least do interviews or be a proper podcaster. Like, I wouldn't have that time to dream if it wasn't because of the void. And of course, to make the void your space, you gotta embrace it. Today, as I'm speaking, as I'm like processing all this, I learned that I should not let the void consume me, because the void is just the void. It is a void, and it means that it means nothing. I should not let the nothing consume me. I should make the nothing into something, right? And I think that's just a beautiful thing, to have time and space. And I think when we were younger also, we did not appreciate having so much time. We wasted away playing games that mean nothing to us. I should have, at that time, I should have read a lot more. Actually, no, I read a lot. I should have just worked on things that I liked, instead of thinking I'm depressed, I'm uninspired, and just letting it consume me and letting the darkness be one with me. So now that at 32, I'm not doing that. At 32, I made that decision to make something out of the void. It is not too late, because I still have time, right? I still have time to create. I still have time to start new things. And today, you're here with me and we're starting something new, which is the podcast. I'm grateful for people that will be watching the podcast, or at least listening to the podcast. I'm grateful that I have space to even talk about this in the first place, and I didn't expect how easy it would be for me to go to at least 30 minutes. I thought I would struggle, but turns out I won't, because in a way, do I think that I've gotten this figured out? No. But in some sense, because I am in my early 30s and I have lived through a lot of life, because one thing about myself that I'm really proud of, I allow myself to have experiences. That means just because I'm scared, I'm not going to devoid myself of the life experience of something. I would just go to whatever it is, and if I don't like it, I'll come home. And I'm just grateful that my 20s were full of just experiencing things and trying things out, even if I feel like shit after. There were a lot of times putting myself out there made me feel a lot more lonely. I feel a lot less hurt. But because I did that, I know that I'm okay. And I'm really grateful for 20-plus-year-old Tryphena. That was brave. And thank you for being brave, because now I am still as brave. But maybe if I didn't do these things at 20+ years old, I might not have had that drive to do this kind of talk show, to just put myself out there. Because again, if I put myself out there, there's nothing to lose. But if I don't put myself out there, I will never know what I lost. I think which is worse. It's way worse to know what you It's way worse to not know what you lost out on. I'd rather know what I lost out on. I don't know, it depends on certain people, because I think some people would like to know if this was something that they don't want in their life. And some people would rather just be oblivious to everything. But then, is that a what life well lived? Maybe, maybe not. For me, it will not be. I like knowledge. I like making informed decisions about things. I like buying something knowing that I've made the best decision based on the information I have. But some people are happy being in the bubble. And I'm actually really envious of these people, because you're gonna have a very easy life. It's gonna be easy for you to find happiness compared to me, where I need to make sense of things. I need it to be layered. I need things to make sense. And it cannot be a certain way, a certain way, a certain way. I need to do my best to try, you know, and I don't know at this point. I'm still figuring it out. But like I said, this podcast is voice notes to nothing and no one. So we can just have this space to figure out what the void means to us. And that is the end of the first episode. So thank you all for being here. Let's see what I talk about in episode 2. Because the void, while it is uninspiring, okay, I was uninspired, but now because of this particular episode, it makes me think of all the things that I could do with free time, and I'm getting really excited. I want to do paint my numbers while listening to my music and watching a show, or maybe that, I don't know. I want to film like 50,000 podcasts talking about my feelings, and I want to go through my diary entries. So many things that I could have done, and it's the void that gives me all the possibilities, and I don't need it to be productive, which is the greatest thing ever. So again, thank you all for being here. I'll see you in the next episode.